Hi there, sunshines. So happy to be here. Speaking of sunshines, you can kind of see the sunshine right here. I'm here in Austin, Texas, and today for me is, the subject of today for our Facebook Live for me is very personal and very vulnerable, and something coming off an inspired weekend with some beautiful girlfriends that I am excited to share. Hi, Glenda. And hello to everybody that's joining us. Actually, what would be really cool is everyone who's joining us, if you could give a word, just type a word that kind of expresses where you're at today into the comment field. That would rock. So today for me is a big deal. Why? Because we're talking about the keys to thriving. We're talking about the keys to going direct with your body. We're talking about how to tell the difference in the 3 different ways our body talks to us. And it's a distinction that I actually just got this morning. It's like it just came through me. So I've never shared what I'm going to share today with anyone. So make sure the story, yes. But what I saw about what our bodies share. Oh, thank you everyone for sharing your word. Gloria, so nice. Yes, expanding. Yay. Thank you everybody. So if you have people in your life that struggle and try to mentalize everything and get overwhelmed by their mental processes and feel like they're frustrated because they feel like they're called by something greater than them, but they don't understand how to go direct with that calling, if you have someone in your life like that, make sure you send them this this video message, because it's really going to help with that distinction a lot. And I don't know if any of you are like that, but stay with me if you are, because by the end of the conversation today, I know it's going to assist. I hope you guys did really great with yesterday's homework. If you haven't listened to day 4, it was all about telomeric breathing. And that's one of the ways that we say yes to consciousness, and we exercise the actual biological connection to our own innate wisdom that happens millions of times a second, and most of us aren't even listening. We're too in our heads. So make sure if you haven't listened to day 4, you go back and listen to day 4, because that is an element that is absolutely crucial to being able to go direct. But today, so there are 3 ways your body talks to you. I want to tell you the 3 ways, then I want to demonstrate it in a story, and you want to look for your story that matches my story, okay? So whatever your story is, and by the way, everyone, we ask the people that are joining us, just write down a word that kind of matches where you are today in this moment. 1 word, okay? Hi, Leanna, love you. So the first way that our body talks to us, or not our body talks to us, it's actually infinite intelligence. I want to make sure that we're all on the same page, okay? Consciousness itself, I love seeing hearts on my screen. I just got to tell you guys, I just love the hearts. Thank you. So, my heart just gets bigger. All right. So, the you that you see and that others see. So the me that I am, thank you for more hearts. The me that I am, that you think is this curly hair wildness and, you know, pink lipstick and a pink top and whatever. This is not me. The you that's dancing with me and all the hearts, the people that are sending me hearts, you are not this. This is the 3-dimensional, now listen closely, everybody breathe and feel this with me, because then we're going to talk about the 3 different ways your body talks to you. So breathe with me and feel what I'm about to say. This physical 3-dimensional unit called a body is the excuse for the skill sets, personality trait, and wisdom of your soul, your unique expression, to have a 3-dimensional life. I'm going to say it another way. I'm going to say it 3 ways. The second thing that this body is not only an excuse for all of who you are to pour through and have a physical experience. Let's name it a different way. Creator consciousness, God itself, wanted to have an experience in this dimension. And only in this dimension can you have sight and smell and taste and touch. You can have an emotional experience with other expressions of God that actually have their own unique skill sets, their own unique personality traits. And when you bump up against each other based on our senses, when you bump up against each other, it causes contrast, which basically motivates you to something different. Or you see something you really love and it causes inspiration by another. And you get to fulfill on what creator consciousness is here for, which is creating upon creation, making something new that was never here before. Okay, so when you feel that internal calling, but your brain can't catch up to the calling, it's because your brain will never catch up to the calling. Your cells are the ones that are feeling the calling. Think of 75 trillion cosmic ears in your body, listening to greater consciousness, and that's how you commune with others. They are giving off, I'm going to use very grounded words. They are scientifically, metaphysically giving off photon packages of light. It's how we feel, whether we like someone or not, whether we zen with them, whether they push our buttons without them saying anything. They are giving off information that you are picking up on with your telomeres and your receptor sites. Your telomeres and your receptor sites in your body give off the energetic way that they are, and that's the scientific explanation for instincts. But that's the way that we get either motivated or inspired to create something new. We are not here to internalize it. We're here to actually use our feelings for something different. So I told you I'm going to explain it a third way. The third explanation for this physical unit called a body, was very specifically chosen for you. Whether you're small or short, whether people perceive you as gorgeous, or people perceive you as whether people perceive you as, wow, people call me an Amazon all the time, but sometimes they call me a mermaid, or sometimes they call that perception that people have of you is a thing. It's specific to what you were born to bridge, what you were born to create, okay? And I was talking to someone yesterday, she was a minister, and she said, she kept saying, well, you create your life. And I'm like, yeah, but not in the way you think. So listen very closely. Before your spirit poured through this body, so this is our third explanation of this body. Before your spirit, your consciousness, your soul poured through this body, there were lifetimes, okay? There were lifetimes that you lived where you honed, fine-tuned what your natural propensities are. You became genius in some area. It could be mediation. It could be that you became a love bug. It could be that you became someone who's profoundly got that mother instinct. It could be that you became a genius at science. It could be that you evolved to be a leader. I don't know what it is for you. But whatever those natural propensities are, I'm smiling every time I see those hearts, by the way. It just tickles my telomeres, people. That's what I'm saying. So then it comes through, and it's going to have a physical experience. All of consciousness knows exactly what your piece of the puzzle of heaven on earth that you are, that you were born to be. It's not specific to a job, but it's specific to a natural propensity and a way of being. The job that you do is almost irrelevant. That's one of the mistakes people made. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. What you're supposed to do is irrelevant. If actually you can just be the genius that you are, no matter what you do, I promise you, your ultimate job will find you. It's as long as you're making the excuse that you need to find the job If you make that as your excuse, what happens is you'll forget what's important. And what's important is the piece of the puzzle of heaven on earth that you are, and being that in every moment of the day, including the grocery line. That's why this physicality is important. But because this dimension of creation in 3D requires that you actually act, that you actually take action, that you actually demonstrate who you are and why you're here. And I promise you, the optimal job will find you. It's just magnetics. However, what we're talking about today is why the body is so important in that, and what the 3 different ways that your body interprets, that your body speaks to you and actually guides you exactly to the ways that you're being called to express, and the fulfillment on the piece of the puzzle of heaven, the fulfillment on your calling. Okay, so if you want to know a little bit about the 3 ways your body talks to you and how to directly, this is your direct guide to consciousness. This is my direct guide for consciousness. How do I know? Because I live it in every day. And even saying that gives me goosebumps. Every day, I'm not interested in the shoulds, musts, and have-tos of other people telling me what I should do. That's why I don't even read that many books. Because I'm not interested in someone else telling me what I should do. I'm interested in going direct and having my unique conversation. But this takes some practice. So, let's talk about the three ways the body has a conversation with you. And then I'm going to demonstrate it through a story. And I want you, stay with me, by the way. We're going to be another 8 to 10 minutes. I want you to stay with me. Don't drop off, and just stay with me and hear the story, because that's where the juice is, people, okay? All right, here we go. So the first way your body talks to you. Your body talks to you through your feelings. It's one of the senses that should be a 6th sense. Your feelings are measuring either an instinct or a knowingness that has no rational explanation that's coming through your body. It's just a surge of yes. It's like when you have, some people call it goosebumps, I call it truth bumps. So listen to what truth bumps are. Some of you are you've never heard this before. It's very juicy, okay? Some of you have heard me say it in a program. When you are open to a deeper truth, consciousness sees that you're open. And it's an opportunity. It's like a crack in the door of your ability to receive. And in that moment, your cells, listen closely, open. And the truth that is in the biophoton packages of light, where your multidimensional consciousness, the 99% of you that lives outside of the body that's pouring through, the multidimensional aspects of you that are connected to infinite wisdom, most of you, in fact, is aware that a deeper wisdom needs to be affirmed right now, because you're open to it being affirmed. So there's a surge of photon packages of light. The surge of photon packages of light actually comes through your cells, including your skin, and causes an overabundance of light coming through your body, which causes the bumps. It actually, the backlog of energy that you haven't capacitated before, the surge of truth actually causes bumps. So those moments you really want to pay attention to. So let me say this first way your body talks to you again. Your body talks to you by actually affirming a deeper truth that is a non-rational truth that you don't understand, or it can also, your body will measure a thought that you're thinking, whether it's the truth or not. So your feelings are not here to take you out or distract you. Your feelings are here to simply guide you. I'll show you a thought one. So for instance, I meant to do this Facebook Live at 8:11 today. I knew instantly, it contracted me because I wanted to make sure I was fully present. So I took some extra time. Even though I said it would be 8:11, it was 8:33 or 11:33, depending on where you are in the world, or even in the afternoon in the UK. So there could be what you say, but what you say might be a little bit off, because what would provide the highest truth gives you a surge of energy. What gave me a surge of energy is I need a certain amount of time to catch up to what I'm supposed to share with you. So I knew I needed to change the time. Do you see how that works? So I knew that the thought was not true. I knew there was a thought that was greater. Okay, and you do this every day, all day long. Oh, should I quit my job? But immediately it makes you contract. So no. And then what you want to do is you find you get really good. You get finely tuned at finding the ideas that do expand you, even if your ego is scared, by the way. But we'll talk about that in a second. The second way, let's make the second two are going to be much faster. The second thing about your body is your body has the capacity to actually let through more light. You have the capacity to increase your ability to be guided. The last thing is your body creates symptoms over time where you are living a paradigm that's untrue, where you are living an entire belief system that's untrue. And I am about to give you examples. So you're going to wonder, like, okay, so my body does those three things, but how the hell do I tell the difference, first of all? And what is the language of that? And how do I make that distinction? And oh my God, and all of a sudden you're mentalizing it, right? I know I was. So it's like, oh my God, that seems like a lot. Like, how do I know? Don't mentalize it. What you want to do is pick up on the photon path. You got to get out of the way of this conversation, breathe, take your consciousness behind your eyes, and feel what I'm saying, okay? And like I said, we're teaching a whole program on this that's in beta, that's like $133 or $197 if you come live. But I'm going to give you the juice of a story that's going to give you an example so you can see how powerful this work is, and you can start to embody. You'll have a relating story. Okay, so everybody listen, right? You want to stay right with me on this, because it's so much more important to talk in metaphors and in stories so that you can feel the meaning of what I'm saying so much deeper. So, exactly, Glenda, about the paradigm. And hi, Maureen. So great to have you. Great to have you here. Okay, you ready? Okay, so here's a story. This is where I'm telling one on myself. I'm getting a little bit vulnerable here. So I was married for 12 years. His name is Gary. Okay, so Gary and I were married for 12 years. So I grew up, and when I grew up with my dad was an entrepreneur, my mom was a teacher. They're actually very good people. My dad had a pretty hellish past, so he definitely did a better job than his dad did, who was alcoholic and just definitely womanized and all sorts of stuff. And my dad did a much greater job than he thought he thinks he did in his head. And my mom is an angel on earth, just so you know. And so there I was in my life, and I got this picture. I was relaxed enough that I got this picture of how life should be. It's probably a picture that you've had too. You get it from school, you get it from TV. It's like this perfect picture of a certain kind of house, and you have money pouring in, and I want you to know this is not the picture I have anymore, but I want you to hear me. That you have a great job, and I worked at a big multinational company, and I had a great job, and I had benefits, and I went to university, and I graduated well, and all this stuff. I fit the picture. And then I married a man who was 12 years older than me, that was the president of a company, did very well financially. It facilitated me growing the largest holistic nutrition practice in Canada. Little did I know the reason why it grew so big is because I was reading other people's cells. I didn't even realize that other people could read cells. But then I realized that I still had symptoms. I was getting overwhelmed all the time. I found myself feeling out of sorts. And I actually found myself, how shall I say, I found myself having dreams that were trying to tell me something. I found myself feeling resistance. I found myself constantly getting a feeling that there was more. And this is where you can give me thumbs up or hearts. Have you ever felt this feeling that there's something more to life? You just knew it. So I had this feeling that there was something more, like something was calling me. Have you ever had that feeling? So I had accomplished all the check marks. Maybe some of you guys have had like the picture of the man you should be with, or the woman you should be with, or the kind of partnerships you should have, right? Or the way your life should look, the way your house should look. Have you ever done those check boxes, how your partner should be, and then you write out all the da-da-da-da-da so you can check it all off and you can tell consciousness? But the problem is, before you got a body, consciousness already knew the types of people, not the person, but the types of people that would be a perfect catalyst and nurturer of your beautiful, incredible self. It was already done, you guys. It's more about being able, and Gary was a perfect match for where I was, because he made me feel safe enough that I could actually feel my greater instincts. And I didn't understand that. Thanks for your comment, Glenda, too. I totally get it. So I didn't understand what was going on. This was the first time where I really got that fitting your pretty picture, or having it be about me and my pretty picture manifesting. By the way, if you think your life is about you and you just want to manifest what your mind wants, that's usually guided by the life that you think would be most comfortable and least scary. But you will never be fulfilled until you live the life that the entire universe is calling you to. The one that heart's calling, the tingles, the like, oh my God, I can feel it. Now, if you want to follow what's safe and you want to follow what your mind comes up with, because it feels like that would be, that would be the most amazing thing to your mind, then this is not the conversation for you. If you're interested in the conversation that says something's calling me and it's greater than me, I might not have the words for it, but I'm interested in the dance with the entire universe so I can live in the miracle zone and feel in my body the most fulfilled and have the life force that gives me goosebumps every day, then this is the conversation for you. Okay? Because what happened next was not perceptively safe. But ultimately, it was the most safe thing. It put me in alignment with the entire universe. And it had me actually be able to, if I didn't do what I did next, you and I wouldn't be talking right now. So this is probably the time in my life that took the most courage. It was the scariest time in my life, but it was the first time that I really got how important it is to listen to yourselves, mostly because I really wouldn't be talking to you right now if it was not for this moment. So I kept having dreams. My cells were talking to me. I kept having migraines, and I was like, where are the migraines coming from? And then I went to speak at an event, and I met some friends that actually activated my cells so deeply that I felt the love that's possible. Have you ever met those cosmic connections, those soul family moments where you just knew like this person was the perfect person for you right now? You saw each other before you even had language. You just got each other. Have you ever had those interactions? If you haven't, you will. But I think you guys have. Again, send me some thumbs up if you can relate to this, right? So those people are here to remind yourselves of the kind of love and connection that's possible in life. And that's where the affirmation and the conversations and the magic is, right? So Marie's saying you're so funny. So I feel the same way about you, Marie. So what happened was, after coming home from that event, I looked at my husband and I realized why I was having these dreams of what was possible. And I realized that my husband was going into a phase in his life where he wasn't looking to create upon creation. He was looking to get really, really comfortable. His whole life was about comfort. He was willing to consider more, but he'd been through so much. He'd almost died so many times. And I realized that he was no longer catalyzing but wasn't willing to assist me to catalyze what was possible. There was a moment when I had a surge when I was 17 years old, and the surge of photon packages of light gave me goosebumps for half an hour. I was watching the news with my dad, and I said, my God, why aren't these people just talking to each other? Why aren't they coming to a mutual understanding through communication? Why aren't they feeling each other? Because right now they're very divisive and coming from righteousness and polarizing. And I knew that it was possible. I didn't know that one day I'd know the answer to the question of how you get nations to speak to each other. And what I realized is that it's through the presence of being able to hear infinite wisdom and that third entity of where two people meet. There's information between those two entities. If we can tap into that information, we can feel the deeper truth. And what it causes is a surge of yesness in your body, and you can have that all day long. And I knew that was the answer. I just didn't know it at 17 years old. It wasn't until I left my husband. And the voice didn't make any sense. Leave your husband. I had the perfect house. I had the Porsche. I had the 5,000 square foot house. I had the husband that loved me. He loved me. He probably loves me still. I love him too. But it wasn't about rationale. How many of you have kept doing something because it seems rational, but what's calling you doesn't seem rational at all? But you're so scared because you don't understand the language. See, that was the moment where I said, if I'm going to do this, I better freaking understand the language, because otherwise I'm scared out of my mind. My friends judged me because Gary's a good guy. My parents didn't understand. Nobody understood. I was making a complete U-turn. I was doing a 360. But I knew by the feeling in my cells, I didn't know how to interpret it yet. But I spent the rest of my life understanding the science of what the interpretation is so that I could pay it forward, because our minds need peace. Don't you agree? It's so important that our minds can understand that language so that we can understand that we're being supported and everything is happening for us. Everything is happening for us, not to us. And every cell in my body expanded, even though it was the most painful time in my life. By the way, it doesn't mean you should leave your sweetie. Okay? I know lots of people that once they leaned in fact, this happened to me recently with Adam. I realized that I got really scared at one point and I removed myself from him. But our two energies coming together causes a surge. It causes goosebumps everywhere. But when I remove myself because of my fears from the past, I don't get so many surges. But that Kundalini creative, incredible energy, when I say yes and I stop being afraid of his judgment or our disconnection, it wasn't available through Gary and I. It just wasn't available. And I can't settle for, I'm wired not to settle for anything less. Likely you are too. So I had judgments from people. My mind was going nuts. It's like I couldn't explain it to myself. But I got very committed that I wanted to have the explanation. So there have been symptoms over years. Consciousness, because I was born to teach this, consciousness has given me interpretations of symptoms, interpretations of how to read the paradigms that we're living in that are inconsistent. The very belief systems that we live into that are inconsistent with the belief systems that would have us fly, there's a way of interpreting those. So since then, how many years was that ago? That was like 15 years ago. Ever since then, I've been on a mission to understand how I actually teach this, how I actually show people how to go direct with consciousness. So never do they, could you imagine if you didn't need someone else to change? If a nation didn't need another nation, if a religion didn't need another religion, if everyone knew that everything they needed was coming to them and you didn't need the other person to change for you to fly, if everything you needed was provided to you, and if you could even go through big changes, being completely guided and settled into your knowingness without the doubt Could you imagine what would happen to our politicians? What would happen to our world? That's my vision. My vision is that individual human beings, leaders of countries, and anyone in between, leaders of families, leaders of schools, if we could all go direct with the innate wisdom that's happening for us every second to second, and we could have confidence understanding the communication, then what do you think would happen? I'd love to hear if you would write it in. What do you think would happen if we could live from that degree of knowing? And what happened to me is from that day forward, when I left Gary Ford, some of you were with me when I went through all of that. It was the hardest time of my life. It was so emotionally charged, and I had to keep stepping into my knowing. I had to keep stepping into my knowing. And I got so much practice in those 6 months and so much happened after that I cannot not live my heart's calling, even though half the time still I don't know what's next. So if you think I always know what's next, I don't know what's next, but I'm thrilled to live in the not knowing because I have confidence that everything is happening for me. But if you don't have that relationship to the communication between your connection to wisdom and your cells, then what happens is you start questioning everything, and then you slow the flow, and then your lack of confidence actually begets more lack of confidence, and then you start looking for answers outside of yourself, and you start putting people on pedestals. My job on the planet is to assist you to be your own guru, because that is how it's supposed to be. Love you, Betty Lou and Luciana. So, coming up on May 5th and 6th, and I hope this activated you and you felt it. Coming up on May 5th and 6th is a program. It's called the Yessence Technique. It is the culmination of the last 15 years since I actually made the choice to leave Gary and my so-called beautiful life. Nothing could be more beautiful than my life now, and being able to contribute this incredible calling to humanity. But it wasn't until now that I was able to language the Yessence Technique, or this way of reading your cells, in such a way that I could turn it into a program that I could teach, because it was just so ingrained in me to do it. It just became so natural, and I thought everyone else was doing it, but I realized as I spoke to Adam, my sweetie, and Jeannie, my general manager, that everyone doesn't know how to do it. Everyone doesn't know how to go direct. So, and most people don't have confidence with it. And most people call it, oh, I got a message from God, and it happens like once a week or once a month. But you don't understand that it's happening all the time. When you live this way, your life starts to flow in the miracle zone. So I figured out how to teach it. And so the Yessence Technique, if you go to thewideawakening.com/Yessence-Technique, okay, Yessence-Technique. Next year, I promise you it is true, we will charge probably close to $1,000. I think 911 is the number we came up with. But when we do a beta test of a program, we always charge a lot less, and you guys become our formative people, our inaugural sacred people who assist us to fine-tune the program. So we're only charging $133 if you take it online. What I recommend, however, if you can make yourself, come to Asheville, North Carolina and work directly with me, and I'm going to show you, and you're going to get the activations in the room. And if you're online, you're going to feel it, trust me, and you're going to be able to ask questions, and don't worry, you can commune, but when you're communing direct, it's just another thing altogether. If you can't, doesn't matter, come online. So, but I would love to work with you personally. We're only taking 30 people, because I can only work with 30 people. 30 people is our number, okay? Actually, I think it's 33 is our number. So once it's at 30 people, we can't take any more, all right? And plus, Asheville, North Carolina is the embodiment of a place that bridges the masculine and the feminine. It is absolutely, oh, by the way, the tagline for Asheville, North Carolina is "Keep It Weird." Did you know that? And I'm in Austin, and Austin's tagline is also keep it weird. Isn't that cool? And weird really means I'm someone who's not necessarily going to conform to the shoulds, musts, and have tos of society. I'm willing to listen to the third entity of creation that's calling me. And you'll see that that's true. When you go to the downtown of these places, you'll see all sorts of people that are absolutely, like I said, it's the embodiment of acceptance and community. So the place itself is an activation, and you'll feel it when you're online even. So again, it's thewideawakening.com/Yessence-Technique. And even if you aren't taking the program, go there and sign up for the 3 days of awakening, which is free. We basically give it to you for free. And what it will do is every morning you're going to do these activations. What they do is they help to solidify deeper truths in your body, such that the photons you give off will change your magnetics to be more magnetic to great things. But that's awesome. And I'm much more committed, I'm big time committed to making sure that you understand the language of your connection to source, so you get to become your own guru. So if you have any questions, you can type them in here, and I'm happy to answer them. And I'm happy to answer them about your questions about today. You certainly in the program are going to get all sorts of answers about your life, probably things that have been bugging you. You're going to transcend symptoms. Those symptoms, the long-term symptoms, the chronic symptoms are because, so I had chronic symptoms then, I was still having migraines. You get them because you're living into a belief system that you don't even know, or a paradigm that you're not aware of. And what we're going to do in Yessence is we're going to show you those paradigms from those long-term symptoms, and then show you how to distinguish the choices so that you can be free of those symptoms. But even more importantly, because your body loves you so much, it's giving you the symptoms so that you can set yourself free and you can live more in direct consciousness. The more of those long-term symptoms that you transcend, the less something is in your way. So the more you get to dance in the moment, and you can have confidence in the moment, so you can go direct in the every minute. Do you know what I mean? Like if you understand the deeper truths of the way consciousness works, guess what? What happens is you're actually not in the way of the deeper truths in every moment, and that's how you start living in the miracle zone. So that's where we're going to start in the Yessence Technique. By the second day, we'll go somewhere else. And yes, Tana, that is very cool. So you guys, I'm so appreciative of you being here with us for the 5 days of awakening. If you have any comments or you want to pass this along to someone, please pass it along. Now you know what I stand for. I have so many stories that I could tell you of moments where I had to choose from my cells, and those were life-changing moments, and I wouldn't have it any other way. And it's so time to pay that forward and to shift the planet. It's time to end the duality within our lives and the struggle with ourselves within our lives. But it's time to end this. By embodying that, we change the world. You become a metaphor that emanates photons that actually changes the world. And that really is the reason why I'm here. And Marie, I love, love, love you right back. And I love you, all of you. Please go back and listen and receive the codes and re-listen and receive all the photons that we're emanating together. And I'm just so grateful for all of you. Let's become those beacons for going direct and having even the most polarized people feel the possibility of no longer needing to get their power from having to manipulate people. We don't need to do that. You have everything you need right in front. You just need to know the language. So looking forward to seeing all of you in the Yessence Technique. And if I don't see you in the Yessence Technique, don't worry, I'm going to include you in the class anyways. And but see if you can do it. And I love you so much. And we'll post the link here. Love, 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 love. Okay, bye everyone.